Hello and welcome. This presentation will address the relationship within tourism and one of the higher threats to the Antarctic ecosystem, which is the introduction of non-native species. This has been a key concern for the Committee of Environmental Protection, so much so that they have established a non-native species manual which is updated regularly. For this purpose, non-native species are those that have evolved and exist outside Antarctica and were translated to Antarctica by human means. From these species that are introduced to Antarctica, some can be transient, so that they are not long-lived because of the harsh conditions of the environment, but some of them can become established. Among those that become established, that they have reproductive success, some of them are so very successful that can displace or outcompete the native species, thus creating changes in the Antarctic ecosystem. It is worth noticing that many Antarctic species are highly endemic, so transporting native species from one biogeographic region of Antarctica to another can also result in local invasions. So what do we know out and out about invasive species? We know that increasing human presence facilitates transport to and between Antarctic regions, and regarding Antarctic Peninsula, the expected warming will improve the conditions for those potentially invading species and can convert already established species in invasive ones. This we know about mainly about macroscopic species, but what about microbes? Microorganisms comprise most of the biomass and biodiversity of Antarctica. In fact, they are the ones that drive the biogeochemical cycles, yet are frequently disregarded in relation to this risk of introduction. Also, microorganisms may contain, foreign microorganisms may contain genes that encode for properties that are not usually found in the Antarctic ecosystem. And these genes can be transferred to Antarctic native microorganisms, so also altering the ecosystem properties and functionings. So, going to a well-known case of risk of introduction of species, Deception Island is a volcanic island which is located near the tip of the Antarctic Peninsula, and already 9 cases of alien invertebrates are known for this island. The volcanic character makes it so special that it has deserved the status as an especially managed area, which encompasses 2 especially protected areas, one of them marine, and the other one terrestrial, which is composed of a number of sub-sites all over the island. But also, Deception Island hosts Whalers Bay, which is one of the most popular landing sites in all Antarctica, with almost 18,000 landings during the last season. So this can create a problem. Despite the fact that most tourists comply with extant tourism regulations, a recent study that has compared the environmental soil DNA in Whaler Bays and in Crater Lake area, which is encompassed within the protected area, and near the scientific stations of Argentina and Spain, which are located in this area. And they found strong differences in diversity, richness, and abundance of genetic sequences between the protected area and the tourism impacted area. And these genetic sequences belong, for instance, to flowering plants alien to Antarctica, all of them. So these researchers called the attention to the impact of human activities in the area. Yet, the staff numbers and the activities in both research stations have remained stable over the past decade, but not the tourism, which has strongly increased. So we will have a closer look to this activity. Okay, so which is the division that the International Association of Antarctic Tours Operators has over the tourism activity? They claim that it is a self-regulated activity which exerts only a minor or transitory impact on the Antarctic environment. They regard it as a driving force in Antarctic conservation, mainly due to the fact that the people that comes to Antarctica and comes to know Antarctica is so changed by the experience that they come back to their countries as ambassadors for Antarctica, ambassadors of goodwill, guardianship, and peace for Antarctica. So let's examine each of these concepts. About self-regulation, from 1990 to the present, that will be around here, we can see that the number of passengers and visits and landings on the Antarctic continent has almost steadily increased, except for the year of the COVID pandemic. So if one factor has anyhow regulated the Antarctic tourism activity, was not the humans but a virus. Does it exert a minor or transitory impact? In fact, the progressive change in Antarctic tourism activities is not only quantitative but also qualitative, with a strong and steady increase of recreational activities that involve deployment of artifacts like tents, boats, even submersible, kayaks, helicopters, and for maintaining the a low chance of cross-contaminating the microbes of different Antarctic sites. All these should be thoroughly cleaned, and in fact, the result is that all these activities increase the probability of cross-contamination. And also, we can see a higher predominance of recreational activities over those that represent a positive impact of tourism to Antarctica, like citizen science. So, is it a driving force in Antarctic conservation tourism? One of the best known ecologists in Antarctica, Dana Bergstrom, has recently claimed that all this information that I just showed suggests that tourism in Antarctica has changed from a passive, observational, nature-driven tourism to take Antarctica as a background to make recreational, adventurous activities. So the character of respecting the Antarctic ecosystem is kind of lost in the process. Also, it's very important to see what the cumulative impact of increasing tourism is. And in this sense, as the risk of introducing non-native microbial species or their DNA to these unique ecosystems is proportional to the number of activities and number of visitors. This risk is cumulative, and the potential impact as well. So about ambassadorship, that would be the positive effect of tourism in Antarctica. We can see that for the last season, just one country, the USA, has accounted for more than half of all visitors, and just 5 countries accounted for more than 80% of visitors. So the tourism activity is far from being a miniature UN in Antarctica. Also, it's worth noticing that Alexander and collaborators had proposed to a working definition of what an Antarctic ambassador is. And very importantly, they discussed whether the need to travel to Antarctica is really so to become an Antarctic ambassador. So this need to travel to Antarctica is under discussion now. So where are we standing now? We still have to comprehend what are the real environmental impacts of the Antarctic tourism, the risk of introduction of native species among them. In a very thorough account, Tejedo and collaborators last year have reviewed all literature about the impacts of Antarctic tourism, and it is interesting to notice that which measures or management actions different authors propose up to now. Many of them propose to increase or improve the monitoring of the ecosystem. Some of them propose to strengthen the application of biosecurity procedures to avoid introduction of non-native species, which can work for macrobiotic species, but not for microbial ones. So it is very important to strengthen existing regulation and coordinate the stakeholder efforts, including Antarctic tourism operators, to preserve the Antarctic ecosystem, and very, very importantly, to apply the precautionary principle when scientific data are limited. So these authors also propose a monitoring program which should be focused on environmental impacts of tourism in Antarctica. And this stands as a golden chance for inter- and transdisciplinary research with a real collaboration and involvement from tourism operators, who should be the first ones interested in standing the clear about the impact of their activities in Antarctica. So as the motto for this conference has been the Antarctic for a better world as well, it is needed that we construct a better world for the Antarctic among all of us. Thank you very much.